Thank you guys for letting me come pee in your pod.
Whoa. This isn't 2 peas in a urinal cake.
Fair enough.
This is... I'm Derek.
2 peas and a pod.
How you doing, friend?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing good. It's been, I feel like we say this all the time, but it's been busy.
Yeah, I've been very busy lately too. Like usually I'm manageably busy, but I'm like right at that point of outside of manageably busy
Yeah.
in my current scope. So yeah, some of that's professional, some of it's just personal. Just you got kids. Like I'm gonna go check out a private school today
Oh,
for my kids,
really?
possibly. Yeah, I don't love it
Why-
because it's expansive.
Why the change? That seems like a
Well,
jump. Is
You know, we live in a climate where there's litter boxes going in classrooms, you know?
yeah.
So it's like I want a place where, although I will say this, I'm torn on the subject because I feel like I went to a public school. I did go to a private school, but I also went to a public school later on in like my actual more attributed years, like where I'm like I went to a private school till I was in 6th grade, and then I went to a public school the rest of the time. So it's like that's where you're way more knowledgeable about what's really going on, anyways. When you're older, early on, you're just kind of taking things in, right? So, but
more
yeah, so I feel like
impressionable, I guess,
equipping
maybe.
kids. Yeah, that's what because you're just starting to think about things differently. You're presented with a lot more complex ideas. And so I feel like you have to think through things a lot more at those older ages. But anyway, I just feel like equipping kids from the home base is important. And so I don't want to be like, well, I want to like send my kids off to school and then disengage when they come home. It's like I feel like if you engage well, you could still get the same outcome that you're looking for, which is your kids to have the values that you want them to have. But simultaneously, who knows, man? I mean,
Yeah.
how often do you listen to your parents when you came home from school? I mean, at that age, your parents are like enemy number one.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, I got hit if I didn't listen. So that kept me in line a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that it's a
capital
bad
punishment.
thing. Yeah. Just do your job.
Yeah.
Do your job. Listen, and it'll be fine. So yeah, man. I think more personally for me has been busy with moving. I've had to look at a house, buy a house, sell my house, do some couple things around the house to get it ready to sell, and still try and hold down your job. Just it's been crazy, but we're ending the road. Everything's supposed to end by the end of July, beginning of August. Everything will be complete, and went pretty quick. So we'll be back to normalcy up in Minnesota. So.
Well, let me tell you something about Minnesota. There's nothing normal about it.
Well, the nice thing is, dude, insurance is way cheaper in Minnesota, dude. I'm saving like almost $1,000 every 6 months by moving to Minnesota.
By doing like car insurance
and house insurance, both.
And you pay it, and you're paying it once every 6 months, right?
I'm paying it monthly, but they quote the premium at a 6-month premium, right? So
see, me and my wife pay it literally every 6 months.
Yeah, no, I do monthly. It's not that much more. It's marginally more, if at all.
Yeah.
So I just do that, and I auto withdraw, and I mean I was surprised at how cheap it was. I'm saving $100 a month.
Nice.
Or more. So
I think people need to set up more auto stuff. Not just auto being billed, but auto saving. Right?
Yeah.
Just automatically have money going somewhere. Don't think
I do that all the time.
Don't have to put it there.
I do it all the time,
I know.
man.
Some of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm usually always, that is one decision I've never been upset about, was saving too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never been like, oh man, I really hate having all this money over here.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Well, that and like auto payments too, right? Auto saving and auto payments. There's 3 bills I pay manually a month, and it's because I have to. You have to. Like they don't let you set up an automatic
for your mortgage.
Nope. I have that automatic.
That
It's-
automatically happens on a certain day.
Yep. Every month. Yep. And then it's my utility bill because it's like an old, outdated website. It's my internet because again, it's like a site where you have to put your credit card number in every single time. Or
That's stupid.
well, that one you can, but like this internet, the website itself is super sketchy, and I'm like, I'm not saving my credit card on this engine. So I do that, and then I think my third one is like my credit card payments because like I'll just at the end of the week or every other week I'll just like pay off the credit card, whatever that
Yep.
looks like. So like
Yep.
those are the only
Yeah,
three,
which is smart.
otherwise- Yeah. So those are like
That's the
only
best
three
way to
that I
use a
ever do.
credit card.
Oh yeah.
That's the only. That's not even. I shouldn't even say that's the best way. That's the only way you should use a credit card. Buy stuff with
dude.
it, pay it off immediately.
No, dude. So I have all my payments go through my credit card. I pay my insurance. The only thing I can't pay on my credit card is my mortgage.
Mm.
So I just get points after point. It says I spent like last year. It said I spent like $50,000 on my credit card, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's just you just
Yeah.
pay, And if there's a fraudulent charge, it's not your money you're losing. It's you just sign a disclosure and you get it written off.
Correct.
So life
Yeah.
lesson, everybody.
Yeah, good for your credit score. Get the bonuses. You pay the money, but that's where they'll get you. Is if you start using it like a same day loan,
Yeah,
it will become a same day loan.
yeah.
Like you're talking 30% interest rates on that stuff.
Some of them.
You know,
yeah,
you get up to like $5,000, you're probably spending like $200 a month in interest or something like that. Like you're gonna bury yourself in debt running a credit card the
Yep.
wrong way.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's
So-
what a lot of people got in trouble in 2008. That's why it fell. The recession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
I mean, that's part.
yeah,
of
no.
it,
I mean, I've
but-
learned from it. I've learned about it the wrong way from experience.
Oops.
So, yep, yeah. So don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
it that way. You get stuff, you pay it off immediately. But I've always been a big fan of what you're talking about, which is literally just put everything on it. Because then it's like I'm spending this money anyway.
Yep.
I'm paying to have it because you usually pay like $100 a year membership fee.
You're right.
So I'm paying to have it. So I need to get the most value out of it. How do you do that? You pay for everything with it, and then you immediately pay it off.
Right. Exactly.
Best way to do it.
So
So,
good stuff there.
yeah. Well, so I kind of went. I wouldn't say private school. It has some political nature to it. So speaking of politics, we have we had a big debate. Have you heard? Did you hear about this
I wouldn't
conversation
say-
between two old men?
I wouldn't say it was a big debate.
One-
It was
Oh,
the debate, dude. It was
Oh, the debate.
debate. It set the tone for what we are going to witness for the next 4 years on either side. And I think I texted you and I was like, "Are you watching this?" And I couldn't even fathom what was going on, like at all. I was like, "Is this really happening? Like this has got to be a dream." Man.
So break it down. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was when Trump looked at Biden and said, "I don't even know what he said there. I don't even think he knows what he said." But
Yes.
and then,
The
like,
border patrol. He was
yeah.
talking about more border patrol
Yeah.
agents, and I mean that's all. Like that, I know where he was going. I do
Yeah.
think like there is a like you, but you had to piecemeal whatever the heck. Like I can't even regurgitate what he said
Yeah.
because it was a jarbled mess, and
Mhm.
it was such a clean, quick-witted response, which is just like you said. I don't know what he said. I don't even think he knows what he said. So good.
And I'm not saying like Trump did great either, because like at the beginning of every sentence he was like, "It was the greatest it's ever been. It was awesome." It's like, dude, it was good, but like it wasn't. You can't statistically prove that everything you did was the greatest, the best, the lowest, the highest. I mean,
Yeah. Well, depending on how you measure statistics too, like so
right.
somebody could pull like a 6-month snippet, right? And be like, look at this 6 months, it was horrible. And then they compare it, Joe could compare it to his current 6 months and be like, look at how much better my 6 months is right now than this 6 months that was 4.5 years ago. It's like, that doesn't, but then also Joe being like, oh, I brought the economy back. You got handed a down rotten economy because of COVID. You can't
Right.
put like, could Trump have handled COVID better? Probably.
Yep.
I don't think he probably had good people around him. I don't think he was being advised well on what to do in that whole thing. I think it could have been definitely handled better. He'll claim the vaccine, although it's really funny too, because like the whole vaccine, like I think a lot of times because the Democratic side wanted people was more about like, you need to take the vaccine, right? That was
Right.
more of the Democratic push.
Yep.
Whereas it is Trump's vaccine. And I remember how much the larger media right away was like, we're taking that poison. We're not putting that in. It's like, you guys seeded the very seeds that you later chastised people for on the other side.
Right.
And I'm talking about mainstream media on that
Yeah.
primarily.
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't think the representatives, our congressional representatives and stuff like that said that. That was mainstream media. Like, they don't know who they are. Mainstream media, in my opinion. They just go whichever way the wind blows. And so therefore they have zero identity and people don't trust them and or believe them. But
Yeah, dude. I mean, like back to like you said, it's how statistics can be manipulated to fit anybody's side, and that's what's hard about the debates. And that's why I normally don't watch them, but just because of the media behind or around this whole thing, I tuned in. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the whole thing. I think after like an hour, I was like, this is like, I just can't do this. But I wish, I'm trying to say this like the nicest way. Like, I wish we could take a year off and just like find two different people. Like, I don't think Trump's the best decision. I know Biden's not the right decision. But at this point,
sure.
everyone's rallying behind Trump because it's Trump and it's not Biden. And everyone's rallying behind Biden are doing it because it's not Trump. Like, they're not
Correct.
seeing what they want to do. They're just saying like, oh, I don't want this person in office.
yeah, see, I would take a totally different approach on that. I don't think Donald Trump is a perfect person, but I think he's the best president I've seen in my lifetime.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. That's my take. Bill Clinton did actually okay. That's the beginning of my life. I don't even know, but I don't think, based on what I've seen back at his legislation, the only thing is though, he did start a war. He is a warmonger, just like the rest of them, just like George W. Bush, just like Dick Cheney. I put those together because I think Dick Cheney was actually the president and George W. Bush was basically the vice president, but Dick Cheney was a hard sell. So George W. Bush landed the spot. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, he's the guy that's willing to shoot his own buddies in the face while hunting. So, yeah. But ultimately, again, like, warmongers, Dick Cheney made tons of money off of, Iraq and Afghanistan. And then Obama was right there. He also killed American citizens with drone strikes in other countries. Like, so Donald Trump did start a war. I think, to me, that's such a huge thing. That is such a huge win, in my opinion, not starting a new war.
Right.
And he's the only one that's done that in 50 years, probably. If not ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like, so he spends a lot of money, which we know he does, but we haven't seen, he wasn't in presidency long enough to see the outcome of it, because he spent what, $8 trillion to boost the economy.
7.3.
Yeah,
7.3, which 3.5 trillion of that was the CARES Act to try to put money in people's pockets from COVID. Right. So if you took COVID out of the game, which again you can't do, right? But I just want to put an asterisk on the last 6 to 9 months of his presidency, because he had to deal with something no president in 100 years has had to deal with.
Right.
And I will also say this. I'm not saying that COVID is fake. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there was a deep state coup to launch COVID. What I am saying, though, is that I think how it was covered was equivalent to as though it was the Black Plague, and that's not what we got. We got a common cold.
Yeah, it was worse than that.
You took it pretty hard.
I did.
On your first one, didn't you?
I did. It was awesome. It was awesome. But yeah, I think it was worse than that, but I think we blew it out of proportion because of media nowadays. I think the media made it way
Yes.
worse than it needed to be. Was it bad? Absolutely. Should you have taken precautions? Yes. Should you have worn a mask? I believe so, right? I hated wearing a mask every day, but if you're in public, I think you should have, just to try and get through everything that's happened.
Well, if you were sick, you should wear a mask.
Correct.
If you were sick out in
Or if
public, you should
felt
wear a mask.
sick, or that kind of
Correct.
thing.
If you felt crummy, you should be wearing a mask
Right.
because a mask doesn't protect you. A mask protects others.
Correct.
Which that's actually one reason I was willing to wear a mask is because it was like, okay, I don't know that I'm sick or not,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm stopping infection on other people. Therefore, I was willing to wear a mask because of that. But I was not wearing a mask to protect me. And I think if you think a mask protects you,
it's just like the gloves.
It just doesn't
It's
make
like
sense.
gloves, right? People are like, I'm just gonna wear gloves everywhere, and they're like, no, don't wear gloves, because if you touch something, you're protecting yourself, but then you're touching it everywhere else, and once you take those gloves off, you're screwed. Like, because you're still gonna touch it. You should just be hygiene. Have hygiene and wash your hands and stuff. But I think
Correct.
we were more of a healthy nation when we were wearing masks. I mean, the year after COVID, or 2 years, right? How many people were sick from like the flu or the cold or some sort of
Yeah, but you can't look at that because everything was getting chalked up as a COVID death. Everything was being
I'm not
chalked up
talking
as a
about
COVID death.
deaths.
There
I'm
was
not-
people dying on. Yeah, but people were dying on.
Yeah.
Tons of Pew Research. I'm not going to spitball all the statistics, but I think they repealed almost 60% of COVID deaths that were illegitimately, like they weren't. Because here's the thing: the hospitals were incentivized to chalk them up as a COVID death.
Yeah.
They were getting like $4,000.
Let's move on to something else, because every time I try to talk something, you cut me off into something different about what you're trying to talk about. So we'll just move on to something about the debate. So I was talking about Trump.
We're having a
Yeah,
discussion.
but the discussion is back and forth, not you stop and disagree with me and then move on to your stint, and then I get to talk again. You know what I mean? And it's okay.
Well, okay.
Because you're passionate about it, and so am I, which is fine. But like, I'm just trying to finish my
Well,
sentence.
just keep going.
I'm not gonna
Then go ahead.
Anyways, it is what it is. Back to the debate piece, right? I think it was a very poor showing on Biden's point, but also too, I think Trump could have done better. But I think Trump did for sure have better points for when he was president.
Well, yeah, he had better points because he had a good presidency.
He did. I mean, you can't say that he was a bad president.
The knock I'll give him, and this is what I think most people hate about him, is his rhetoric.
Yeah.
He's a little tough to swallow
And-
as far as he's
Right. And he's a businessman, right? So businessmen handle business. And we know at the very top, right? Look what Boeing's going through now, right? They were uncovered a lot of different falsifying records or stretching the truth or altering this or that, and he's under a lot of fire. Trump had a big, large business empire, and he probably did some things that weren't illegal, but were maybe not the best or correct way to do it. And now the Democratic Party is trying to reach into it and exploit all that to try and make sure he doesn't run. And I think that's why people are getting such a negative connotation on that piece, is because they think he's just a dirty businessman that is corrupt. All he wants to do is make money, when they don't realize how much was his salary for being a presidency? How much did he request for being a presidency? Like,
well, they get $400,000 and he forgoed it all.
he had
Like,
to
he
pay him
didn't
like
take
$1,
any of it.
right? Because you can't like.
Oh, is that what it
Yeah,
is?
like, you
I don't know.
can't-
I
you
don't
can't work
100%
for
know. He had to have
free.
something.
So they paid him like a salary of like $1 or something. It was like nothing. But that
Gotcha.
wasn't brought up at all.
Well, no, because I don't think. Well, I guess I don't know why he wouldn't bring that up. Biden's definitely not going to bring it up because he has made taxpayer dollars as his form of income for 50 plus years,
Right.
or however long he's been in office. I don't even know.
Right. Mike, so do you think if President Trump gets back in, do you think he'll be able to pass term limits, being that he has the House?
I don't know. Does he even want to do that? Did he say that?
I don't.
Did he say term limits?
He did in his first run. I don't know about now. I haven't seen a lot of his points.
Oh, yeah. I want term limits personally. I think there's a way to do it though. I think they need term limits on the House. I think the Senate should be indefinite, I think you can continue to run to the Senate as long as possible. And the reason being is I think the Senate is set up to be more of a tenured congressperson type group. So it's almost like now a lot of people will look at this and they could totally contradict me on this, and I would probably agree with some of their points. Is that I don't feel like politics should be a career choice, right?
Right.
It like you start in the House and then you go to the Senate and eventually maybe you get a shot at the presidency. I don't think that that's necessarily the way that it should work. But when it comes from the House, I think you look at your House of Representatives, you find people that are solid delegates, and then all of a sudden that state says, this guy has been tried and true for us. He has represented us well for a very long period of time. We want to put him in the Senate. And so he's going to take out the incumbent who we've had in the Senate because we now think that this guy is a better representative, or guy or gal, whatever it be. And so then, boom, now this person's in the Senate until all of a sudden somebody else from the House of Representatives proves themselves to be a more worthwhile option, and I think that's where it rotates out. But you'll get a lot more cycling in the House. State like South Dakota, you get one representative, right? But California, they have what, 40?
Yeah, because it's per capita.
It's
of the state or whatever.
Correct. Yep.
So you think Senate shouldn't have term limits, but you think the representative should?
I think Senate should not. Yep. I think Senate should not. So if you look at some of the documents surrounding the founding fathers, they discuss that the Senate was supposed to be like, that's how they envisioned it. Is that the House was like your new people to politics, not necessarily younger people to politics,
Right.
but just new people to politics, and that the Senate was your more tenured politicians, people that understood how it worked and were kind of the cream of the crop for their said state.
Do you think? I mean,
because everybody's on equal playing grounds in the Senate.
right? Well, because
It's everybody gets two.
Right. Yeah, it's not divided like the House is.
Correct.
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, if it's fair like that, then what does it matter? I just worry about corruption and deals being made. If I'm in there for 20 years, like Derek, I'll side with you these 2 times, and then you got to side with me these 2 times, and deals being made versus the House where a term limit where you only get 4 years, so you're trying to get your own shit done because you don't have time to do other shit.
I'd probably say do a two-term limit. So it would be what is the House? Are they 2, 3, or 4 years?
I think it's like 2 years after the presidency, so I think it's every 4, but it offsets the presidency, doesn't it?
Because the Senate's 6, I think.
Why is my computer
I believe
being
the Senate is 6.
my computer is
don't know.
like freaking out.
So to come back to, you had mentioned just while you're looking this up, and I don't know how true this is. I saw this the other day though.
Serve 2-year terms and are considered for re-election every even year. So it's 2-year terms, but then every even year they have a re-election. Or so, yeah, I mean 2 terms. And then
So I think 3. I think 3 terms.
Only about 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election during any election. So I think it's 2 for the House. And
Yeah, so every
4
2 year.
for the Senate.
Every 2 years, you got about 33 people
Yeah.
in the
Oh, yeah,
Senate
'cause
being
it's- yeah, 'cause
reelected
the
for.
Senate is 6-year term, like you said.
Because it's
Yep.
6.
Yep.
So that's where I think the House of Representatives could be 3 2-year terms. I think 6 years is a good amount of time to see if somebody's got the juice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like that's the Senate term. You know what I mean?
Right. So then they could go to the Senate, and then the Senate beeps out, or we keep this guy in the Senate. If
Correct.
you,
Yeah. Either this guy's gone, or if you think he's awesome, he's running for Senate, and you're going to elect him there over Joe Blow, who you think this
Yeah.
guy's better than.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it has. How long has this been the same way? Right. It hasn't changed for a couple 100 years.
But we also would argue we don't have the same level of corruption that we've had in the
Yeah.
last 100 years. I
Uh,
mean, we just don't. Nobody trusts it right now,
But-
right? I mean, that's.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there much? I think government trust is at its all-time low. Like again, Pew Research type stuff. People doing, which I always say, like you also have to be calling somebody. You're also the people that answer that question are also people that are willing to even take the time to listen to a survey. It's
Yeah.
just most people are like, oh, this is automated. I'm out.
Yeah.
Hang that up.
I don't like taking surveys.
Exactly. exactly.
But I just think it's just, I mean, it's the same in retail, and not that retail and the government are the same thing. But the people, like the heart of the people, like you consistently challenge people returning stuff because you don't believe that they bought it there because they didn't have a receipt, or that they bought it at that store, or if they say, hey, I forgot this, I need to pick it up. Like 20, 30 years ago, like you believed people and their word a lot more than you believe people and their word today. Whether it's retail, whether it's government, like there's so many dishonest people out there.
Yeah. What is I don't remember what the wager percentage is, but it's like 20% of people will never steal, 20% of people love to steal, and 60% of people will steal based on situation and circumstance.
And that's updated facts. I mean, is that
no, I don't know. I don't know what the actual percentages even are.
Yeah.
But it's around there. It's like, and it might be like 10, 80, 10.
Yeah.
But there's like a group of people that are just heathens by nature. Yep. And then there's a group of people that are like moral altruists.
Yeah.
And then everybody else kind of can just fall in between based on situation and circumstance. Oh, I walk by, I can't even think of something because I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Like I walk by an open cash register and I just reach in and grab some.
like say you're at a farmer's market or an open market and there's stuff hanging over, and right, the guy turns his back to go put something away, and someone could just grab that and run and walk away, and he'll never know.
But that's situation. Yeah. Circumstance
would be like
is still like, am I hungry?
Yeah.
Do I feel the need? I'm hungry and I have no money.
Can I?
Okay, now all of a sudden an opportunity presents itself. I'm going to take this bread off this stand. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of working pieces that get somebody, because it's all about the threshold. But there's some people that are just like, oh, a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And they just are like rolling through things, thieving.
So I have a story for you based off that. It's kind of what we're talking about. So my uncle lived in Montana. He knew a guy, one of his close buddies, had 4 kids. He lost his job, and his wife was working, but they couldn't make ends meet. So his buddy would go out and poach a deer, just one deer, or an animal, take it home, feed it, cut it, use it to feed his family. He wouldn't just cut the head and keep the horns. He used it for his food, right? Game warden found out about it, let it happen. And it happened multiple times, and he got a job and whatever. But there was a time in, X amount of period where that guy was doing that, and the guy was like, yep, he's whatever. Is that wrong?
Was he a farmer? Was he out in farmland or something? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was in Montana. Everything out there is very spread out. So it was on a. He was
hunting on his own land.
Do you know? I don't know those specifics, but I don't think he was. I think he was going out into a conservation area or a land he had permission to hunt on, and he was doing it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I feel like because I mean, you got to feed your family, and I think that's what animals are there for. I mean, that's their utmost purpose, in my opinion, is to feed us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that a deer's doing a whole lot of good for me. It eats my garden. It takes the bark off my trees.
Yeah.
So it is there to reproduce so that I can consume them at some point. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I have no problem with it. I think it was living out its purpose.
Yeah. So where do you draw the line then? If that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think
not that I disagree
that's a really hard thing to do.
Not that I disagree with
you. No. There's a.
It just leads to the question: where do the game wardens draw the line? Where do the people draw the line where that is wrong or it's too much?
Why is it a law in the first place?
Because what happened was it wasn't a law, and people were over harvesting deer and rabbits and fox and trapping just for furs to sell them. And the population was becoming desolate and becoming closer to the endangered, extinct era where they wouldn't even have any
buffaloes.
Left. Correct, buffaloes, whales. Right? Isn't whale hunting illegal over in
whaling? Yeah,
yeah. That's
anywhere. Whaling is illegal. Yeah, whaling is illegal.
Because they would just kill them, get the meat and the flubber and all that stuff, and just leave the dead carcass floating. and they'd go on hunting parties and kill 100 of them. You
Yeah.
know, so there had to be
Correct.
laws and stuff in place. Obviously, that's why the game wardens and the game conservationists became a thing, is to limit over harvesting of animals, because people
Mhm.
don't know when to stop. Right? Someone will go kill 3 deer and leave half the meat and get the horns or whatever, and then be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really comes. It's one of the cons of capitalism. And I was going to say that kind of earlier when we were talking about corruption. I think
Yeah.
capitalism raises a lot of people up out of poverty, but simultaneously, I think that's one of its negatives. It opens up to corruption, and I think also it opens up to a certain level of lawlessness because people see a money making opportunity like furs, like blubber, like the oils. Because I think a lot of whale vomit is in perfumes,
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken.
cool.
Yeah, I think whale puke is in a lot of
good
perfumes.
to know. I better look that up now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
Uh,
where I heard that, but that's in my head for some reason.
That's
So,
yeah.
isn't that gross?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm still gonna use cologne, but I'll just know that it might be from the inside of an animal, which, you know, maybe it makes it more purposeful.
Yeah. I actually don't use colognes for that very purpose. If me and my wife are going out, I'll put a cologne on. No. Sorry, not for that very purpose. That is not why I don't use cologne. Because I have kids,
Oh,
and cologne is toxic in my opinion. And so if I'm holding them, etc., they're breathing in what's on
Yeah.
me, as am I. So unless there's a certain occasion where I want to go out and smell good, I don't use cologne because
yeah.
there's no purpose for it. Like, I know my wife probably wants me to smell good, but she never says that I smell bad. So
Yeah.
in that regard, I think we're okay.
That's weird. You smelled really good when I saw you last year.
Yeah, that's just natural lemon juice deodorant, bro. Serious, I use a natural deodorant. For my kids, I've decided to do a lot more natural stuff
Yeah.
because
Well,
it's like, yeah, there's you, but then there's them, and so try to do as much to remove
yeah.
said chemicals from their lives,
I
right?
use methods a lot. Like, I use the Grove app. It's all natural. Like, I have all natural hand wash. I have all natural, like, cleaning supplies and glass cleaner stuff now. So
Yeah.
when I clean my entire house using that, after I clean my entire house using like a different time using obviously like the scrub bubbles and like the Clorox and stuff, I felt the house smelled better with the natural stuff than it did with all the cleaning chemicals that you use in the past.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I should check that out.
Grove, it's an app. It's called Grove Company or Grove.co or something like that. It's really cool. It has everything on it is naturally made or organic or whatever. Like, there's toilet paper, there's paper towels, there's like brushes for like your dish brushes and sponges. Like, it's really cool actually.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Well, you got anything else on the debate?
man, I hope they have another one though.
I hope they do too. I thought the format, so I was concerned about the whole mic cutting thing. I don't think that it was held back too bad. The only time they really got a free for all was when they got to talk about their golf scores.
Yeah. I did also like how there was an audience, because we talked about this a while.
You liked that there was no audience?
I liked it because it didn't, because we talked about this a few podcasts ago, where a motivational speaker, so Trump can rally a crowd, right? People motivational.
Yes, he can. He does great crowd work.
Motivational people can get people going, even if it may not be the most accurate, or maybe it may not be like the truest stuff or one-sided. They can get the people
Like Hitler.
Yeah, they can get people going. I don't know if you could just.
I mean, it's true.
Right. So I think it was a more organic, true side of who each of them were, because there wasn't the crowd behind it with their own opinions, just trying to cause disruption.
Yeah, I've actually been watching a Hitler documentary. It's
Why
about
does
the
this
trial.
come up with us?
I don't know, dude. Hitler was an influential person,
Yeah.
like it or not. I mean, he influenced
Yeah.
society in a
Yeah.
way. Mainly to be like, we don't want that ever again.
You take
Right?
out the whole genocide piece. He might have been a pretty good leader.
No, he was. He knew how to. He knew how to rally a crowd, which is so. So this is where I wanted to go with this. When I was watching this documentary
Yeah.
about him, so often they don't ever mention Trump's name, but you can tell by the language that's used in mainstream media and the language used in this Netflix documentary that they try to paint these parallelisms between the two.
Yeah.
Without saying ever Trump's name and just talking about Hitler.
Yeah.
They try to paint these parallelisms. And it's just like, oh my gosh, guys. It's so ridiculous.
It's like one of those.
It's so ridiculous.
It's one of those
But,
you like read the tape or like rewind the tape backwards and it has a hidden message kind of thing.
yeah. So I watched have you ever seen Man in a High Castle?
No.
It's like If the Nazis Won is what it's about. So it's about like an alter universe where if the Nazis won. It's a super interesting show. It just was intriguing because it's like, oh wow, you never think about all these cultural things that probably would have happened. Here's the part that show has really wrong though.
Spoiler alert.
According to this documentary though, Hitler was never even close to winning. Never even close. He lost in every single way. The only thing that he was really efficient at was getting Jews to internment camps. Like, and he did everything he could to do that. Like, so they kind of cover the documentary how, like, as he was starting to lose the war, like, they were just ramping up, getting people on trains and getting them to Auschwitz. Jesus. Which is disgusting, right? It's absolutely mortifying and horrifying. But that is what it was. And the reason that there was probably a lot of reasons that he had massive distaste for Jews, but a big component is that the parliament during the First World War, which he believed Germany probably should have won and done better, I believe was heavily Jewish. There was a lot of Jewish political leaders at the time in Germany, and he was saying that Germany was allowing a lot of immigrants in and all this kind of stuff. And so he brought this, which again, this is one of those parallelisms that they're painting, right? What do we have a lot of people talking about right now is white nationalism and like, oh, we don't want immigrants coming across the border and all this. And look at how this is being painted. Like, that's one of the things and it's like, but yeah, I'm okay with immigrants coming to America, but I want you to do it legally so that you can be taxed just like the rest of us are. Granted, I wish we weren't taxed, but that's I would rather we just make a lot of money. Yeah. And maybe the government taxes certain pieces of businesses or whatever. Maybe deflate our spend. Maybe is a better place to start. But I also want a really strong military. I don't know, man. It's a complex issue.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, Derek.
And I get that. I 100% agree with that kind of stuff. Like I know that it's a very complex situation, and some dude that works from his basement that's 33 years old does not have the answers for it.
Yeah.
So
I was watching a video or something where they're like, we started a revolutionary war off of 2.5% tax increases. And now we're spending like X percent. Like it's like 13 to 20 some percent depending on your tax bracket. And they're like, and it's like, what are you inferring here? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Go January 6th that bitch again?
Yeah. Well, and that's what so many people bring up though, is that it's like, well, you want your ARs, but we got drones. And it's like, that is true.
Yeah.
That is a very true fact. How long do you think the American people, or even soldiers, American soldiers, how long do you think they're going to obey orders when they're dropping drones on American citizens?
Right, but they've even talked about like the first thing to happen if we were ever invaded was when they drop EMPs to destroy our infrastructure.
Drones, well, yeah, the electrical infrastructure.
Do drones work off if an EMP is detonated?
Well, the thing is that the military probably has strong backup plans.
Correct, but
I don't think
in the moment, right? If 30 seconds after EMP drops,
they start doing stuff.
Yeah, like that. I mean,
they launch an attack.
Yeah,
that's going to be difficult.
So like
that's going to be difficult to deal with.
AR, man, guns are. We talk about guns being primitive now with drone strikes and bombs and stuff. A gun doesn't. If you keep a gun clean and you oil it regularly and you take care of it, the chances of that thing like malfunctioning more than once, maybe, is very low. Right? It's a pretty tried and true weapon.
Well,
isn't there something in the army where they're like, you take care of that thing more than you take care of yourself? Like, isn't there some sort of like?
Well, yeah, this is your girlfriend. That's a Marine thing. This is your girlfriend. Name it, all that kind of stuff. But like the AR, for instance, or M4, M16 platform, it I wouldn't say it jams a lot, but it does jam. Like, I wouldn't say I've shot probably upwards of a few 5,000 to 10,000 rounds through that weapon system. And I've jammed probably 5 to 10 times, but it's really easy. It's sports, slap, pull, observe, release, tap, squeeze the trigger again. And it's like the system, like all that would have happened in the same amount of time that I just said it.
Right.
So that's how you clear a jam on it. You know, if that doesn't work, you drop the mag, you reseat the mag.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple other things that go beyond that if that doesn't work, but 9 times out of 10, that's clearing
In 30
clearing
seconds,
your
you
issue.
can fix it versus technology where it takes a couple minutes to reboot or come online or,
Oh yeah, drones are.
you know.
Yeah, that drone falls out of the sky. That drone's
Yeah.
gone. Now you need a new drone. And like I said though, like I do think the military has probably pretty strong backups
Sure.
for that kind of stuff. I don't think our military would suffer from an EMP. It's the
Yeah.
civilians that over the next 6 months, because we're being invaded, there's not government support trying to fix these types of things. We're going to lose a few million people because of medicines
Yeah.
alone that can't be, you know, there's a lot of refrigeration and stuff like that, and all that stuff would have to be figured out. People being able to keep food fresh. Like what happens if it's in the middle of winter? Think about all the people up north that have heating, because if you lose power, you lose pumps. I don't think natural gas is just sitting coming out of the ground pressurized. Like it's going to a facility and it's being pushed out. And so you lose electricity, you lose the ability to for water, gas, get like propane style gas or natural gas as well as gasoline.
Right.
Like so vehicles are stopped. So now you don't have diesel trucks bringing gas to gas stations either, because who's filling those up? Like it's just like it's a snowball.
Just
of
in a smaller aspect, look at Spencer, Iowa. Most houses didn't flood because water came through their windows. Most houses failed because the electricity ran out, because the water got to the electrical housing, whatever, in the downtown, caused their pumps to stop running, and their basement filled with water because it was an electric pump and they lost electricity. I mean, that's just an isolated incident, but you talk about what you talked about. I mean, you said millions of people.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you almost need a generator. Like
dude,
everybody almost needs a generator. Granted, those are expensive.
I'm gonna
I mean,
get.
those are what, $500 to $1,000, $500 to $1,000, and that's a cheap one. To really get something to like power your home, you probably need almost $2K.
I'm honestly, I'm honestly gonna get a generator. I think because I have a sump pump in my new house, and like God forbid, I'm not gonna let. I mean, something to run a pump is probably, like you said, $400. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, dude. Moneyville was the only place I saw flooding on the way back from Rapid.
Where?
In Mankato.
Oh, it wasn't No, it wasn't flooding. Just the river.
Well, I saw some flooding. Well, the roads looked. It was right around Mankato that I saw a road covered and a baseball field completely flooded.
Yes, that is true. But I don't think there was a ton of homes affected.
Oh yeah.
I know what you're saying.
But either way, you have a flood potential.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
exactly.
There's a flood potential.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I agree. So.
Yeah. One other thing I just wanted to bring up, because we were kind of talking about Trump being a businessman.
Yep.
I saw something that said Biden has over 130 LLCs under his name, 40 plus bank accounts, and 0 products and services. How do you feel about that? Sounds like he's a really good businessman.
That's a huge stat.
Yeah, I'm curious how true that is.
Yeah,
because that's egregious if that's actually the case, isn't it?
I mean, you could file an LLC and spend what, $500, $250 for the LLC name and never do anything with it. You could say Derek Remote Service LLC and get the name and spend the money for the tag, and that's all you have to do. So I mean, yeah, I don't know why you want to, unless if you're
what's their purpose?
You know, and again, conspiracy, corruption. A lot of people, not a lot of people. There's people that use those kinds of companies as shell companies when moving money.
Yep.
Right. May not have a service posted, but there may be a ledger of accounts in and out of services, like that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
But again, I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't even know how true it is.
Yep.
I don't even know. But if it is true, that's very interesting. That's probably less LLCs and bank accounts than Donald Trump has, and he actually has made billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars.
Billions.
So, but well, I suppose, man. It's been fun. Good to get back with you. Our lives have been a little crazy. Next week and the following week, we probably won't be able to get together. I'm gonna be in Mankato in a hotel room. So maybe I'll see if I can figure something out with my laptop. So I'll keep you updated. But when I get to my new house, audience, listeners, I have a cool room that I'm going to be setting up for the podcast. So we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, and keep an ear out. We'll probably have a really in-depth COVID conversation one of these days where we'll do it in person.
Yes,
that'll be one we talk about in person.
Yes. Well,
so that we can have a heart-to-heart conversation.
I do have boxing gloves.
And
I don't know. I just thought about it. I do have boxing gloves at some point, just in case.
You don't want to box me, bruh. He used to call me the young knockout kid.
Why? Because you'd always get knocked out, or what?
No, because I was dropping people. No.
So all right. Anyways, until next time.
I'm
I'm
Jared.
Jared, and this is 2 Peas and a Pod.